Welcome to 60 Skills. We will now discuss why learn the fire letters, the subvariants. Now, in a moment, we're going to have readings on each one of these letters, but this is kind of a brief wrap-up as to why you might want to do this. First of all, you've got the letter C. The letter C is involved with the rites of Eucharist or consecration. So this allows you to charge food or medicines, for example, to bypass your external protective energies and allow for better development both of yourself and to help other people. Next, you have the letter D. The letter D is quite literally that body heat in a young man's body. So ladies, you know what I'm talking about. Men, if you're a little older, you may have forgotten what it was like to be 18 and your body is completely warm and relaxed all the time. It also increases virility in men and helps with reproductive issues. It also can improve metabolism and testosterone levels. Next, we have the letter K, which is the light of true belief. This in turn strengthens your ability to do things. That glare that special operators have, that's the letter K. It is literally the energy or the color of energy of a star going supernova. Next, we have the letter R. The letter R is one of independence and freedom. It's a gold-colored energy, and it is also a backdoor to the sun sphere. As such, this is very special and very powerful. Next, we have the letter S, which is associated with the quantitative aspect of elemental fire. Functionally speaking, it's also involved with astral-level prophecy. So if you're in financial markets, you might find this as useful as an additional data point. Finally, we come to the letter T, which is the energy of inspiration and a very specific mechanical kind of memory. Again, very useful depending upon what your nature of work is. Also keep in mind that as subvariants of fire energy, working with these specifically allows you to further expand your ability and knowledge of that base energy. At a more physical level, it results in the development of a specific kind of ligament, tendon, and fascia tissue within the body that would be hard to get from just working on fire energy by itself. So these are all reasons why you would want to study this course and learn more about the fire letter variants. Let us begin. Welcome to 60 Skills. We will now have a reading on the letter C. First, from Barden's Key to the True Kabbalah. The letter C in the Akasha principle represents all the mysteries of the Eucharist. It symbolizes the mystery of self-spiritualization, at the same time the mystery of transformation. You will be able to use all practical methods relating to the Eucharist. You will be able to deal with charging of water and the application of different foodstuffs. The letter, in the Kabbalistic use of the letter C, however, the point in question is the higher aspect of the Eucharist, for it is to do with the transformation or incorporation of a divine idea, a higher virtue, into a certain form. Mental. All practices dealing with the question of influencing one's own mental body or someone else's spirit by way of a divine idea, virtue, attribute, power, or might fall into this category. Astral. In the astral plane, the astral impregnation with one of the said virtues, qualities, and so on is the vibration C, and also allows for the mummification of the astral body in the control of the astral aura. Finally, material. It allows you to stimulate the entire matter and to equip it with mental as well as astral virtues, powers, etc. By this letter, he also learns to Kabbalistically impregnate any material form at will. In other words, Kabbalistic alchemy. Now from initial experiences with the Kabbalah. The letter C. Cinnabar, mid to high tone, tss, the sound of a hot stone dropped into water, lightness and warmth. Akasha, Eucharist transformation, mental influence. Astral influence, physical and material, physical influence. First session. 13 Akashic, 74 mental, and 417 astral recitations. Something comes out of the mental plane. By pulling open or expanding the mental body, you can insert a new quality. A slow person can become smart, a poor memory can become strong, something about under ages 60 to 35 to 9 to 0 prenatal. It is possible to strengthen the mental matrix for the feeble-minded this way as well. However, the practitioner owns the karma for utilizing the single letter key in this manner. I see a cylindrical tower with a sphere glowing cinnabar in the distance. I am standing in the middle of an open space. At first it is filled with light and then turns dark. This happens cyclically while I am here. I suspect I am inside my own astral body. A mage with an expanded forehead walks towards me out of the distance. He proceeds to explain 3 things. First, to insert a virtue into the astral body of another, the practitioner must access their astral matrix. Expand the matrix using this letter, then add the virtue. The mage says something about, at the same time, if good with yourself, just go to the astral body. I am not sure what this means. Second, mummification using elements should only be undertaken directly before death as a way to extend the lifespan of the astral body. Otherwise, if undertaken before this, life is extended but growth stops. This looks to be unpleasant. Third, expand the astral body or light using this letter as needed. In retrospect, it appears to be related to postnatal energy as described in Chinese medicine. I meditate on this for a time while standing in the glow of the tower's light. I thank the guardian. I depart and return to my body. Practice advice on the letter C. The letter C represents the energy of transformation. For those who practice traditional Chinese medicine, a significant relationship between the letter C and postnatal energy exists. From a Western approach, it represents the power of the Eucharist. In both cases, this is important as the letter C represents methods of charging both food and drink. In doing so, a practitioner can defeat their own defensive energies and introduce things into their various bodies. This is particularly important for efforts involving rejuvenation and self-healing. Note that the power of the Eucharist stems from the bubbling of the waters caused by the introduction of a hot stone in this context. Used with the energy center in the lower abdomen, this can supercharge the attainment of a given goal by placing passion into the subject matter. This technique uses the emotions of a practitioner to fuel their faith. Let us begin. Welcome to 60 Skills. We will now have a reading on the letter D. From Franz Barden's Key to the True Kabbalah. The letter D. In the Akasha principle, the letter D influences all the mysteries of the creation through its vibration. All cognition is revealed to the Kabbalist as well. Mentally, the Kabbalist learns to know and completely control with the entire I consciousness, his own mental matrix as well as those of other people. The profoundest wisdom of the spirit in every phase, to include elemental analogies, is made available. At the astral, all erotic aspects that are analogous to the astral body, such as love magic and sex magic, are now available to him. The Kabbalist becomes a master of love in all its phases and aspects. Material. In the material world, the vibration of the letter D controls everything related to fecundation. This involves things like fertility and reproduction. All progenitive acts, everything that is given life by procreation, falls under this letter vibration. Now from initial experiences with the Kabbalah. Letter D, dark blue, mid-low tone, expansion and warmth. Akasha, creation, mental matrix, astral, love, sex magic, and eroticism. Physical material, fecundation, fertility, and procreation. First session, 20 Akashic, 68 mental, and 409 astral recitations. I push out of the inky black Akasha into the astral level. After catching the flickering dark blue light, I land on a hilltop overlooking a beach. A lighthouse with a giant dark blue sphere is sitting next to the hill. The sphere is generating a light in the energy of this letter. Likewise, the sun, water, and ball are all the same hue of deep blue. The guardian approaches me and we go for a walk along the hilltop. As we walk, the light surrounding the beach goes from dusk to daylight. I am not sure if this is the result of my concentration improving or representing something else. The guardian starts to talk. The first thing he mentions is that I need to increase sunlight and work with the middle dantian or astral center of the body. He specifically mentions that I need to push the aura out from the center out more. He begins lecturing on sex magic. He says the most important part is to visit the girl I will be with at night in spirit form and to have sex with her in advance before going over physically. He says this is important to prepare the girl for the work in real life. This is yet another reminder that the energies of this letter are amoral in nature. They are strictly about cause and effect. Another instruction was given to generate the letter D and walk with it using the fascia walk before finding female companionship. He said not only will this improve my fertility, but it will also ensure the girl attracted is fertile as well. Finally, he adds that to cure infertility, you need to lay in sunlight and generate this letter. The sunlight will power and convert over to the letter D, and that will, over time, result in a man's fertility being restored and enhanced. I think this will require a few months of continuous exposure the first time, although repeat sessions would take less time. It seems like spending an entire summer doing this would be about the right interval. After talking, the spirit goes silent and we walk for a while. Then at some point I find myself lounging in the light of the letter D near the beach. After an unknown period of time, I fall out of the meditation and return to my body. Practice advice on the letter D. The letter D represents the sensation, generation, expanding, and generation of life. When performing love or sex magic, the letter D provides much of the animus. Interestingly, it also has a relationship with the mental matrix. This relationship explains the draining nature of excessive mental pursuits on the vital force of the practitioner. It's also why writers and intellectuals writ large do not live very long and are often sterile. Finally, the letter D is the heat of a young man's body. That is the sensation. For you ladies out there, you know what I'm talking about. For men who might be a little older, you may have forgotten. But think of that time when you were young in your teens, your body worked well, you'd never been seriously injured, and everything just feels warm and relaxed. That is the energy of the letter D. It also tends to enhance metabolism, can increase testosterone, and help with weight loss. Let us begin. Welcome to 60 Skills. We will now have a reading on the letter K. First, from The Key to the True Kabbalah by Franz Barton. In the Akasha principle, the vibration of the letter K is the vibration of omnipotence. The virtue is manifested in the Akasha principle as the highest and purest light, which is analogous to the prime fire principle. Mental. On the mental level, this corresponds to the manifestation of belief. If you can do this, you can generate any manifestation, any thought, or any will. At the astral level, it is related to the virtue of courage, such as endurance, tenacity, etc. It also strengthens and invigorates the instinct of self-preservation, either within yourself or others. Finally, materially, this represents master of all earthly treasures. If you do this, you can get in the material world anything you want effortlessly, whether for yourself or your fellow man. Now from Initial Experiences with the Kabbalah by Rorden Phobos and Bob Smith. The letter K. Silver blue, the color of a star with a blue aura. Low tone. It is a kind of clicking but non-carrying sound, warmth and heat with strong explosive power. Note, do not emplace in the left ear. This may result in the equivalent of an astral ear infection that lasts months. Do not emplace in the left ear. Akasha represents omnipotence, mental manifestation of belief, astral courage and endurance, physical and material treasures. First session. 13 Akashic, 82 mental, and 412 astral recitations. Something important happened on the mental level, but as usual, I am unable to describe or accurately remember this. I am becoming tired more and more frequently during this process. I transition into the astral. I am at the bottom of a hill with the guardian standing to my left. His uniform shifts between a red and blue color as he speaks. The spire at the top of the hill holds a blazing silver blue sphere. This is the color of starlight when seen up close. Angels blaze this when fully manifesting. I am blinded with awe. It is literally beyond my ability to describe the overwhelming power and glory of this. The guardian goes on to discuss the role of trials in developing courage. He also said I needed to work on my endurance physically and to enhance my follow-through using mental methods, not physical ones. Again, the words of the guardian are translated into English from some kind of universal language. Some of the concepts are difficult to translate for this reason. The experience of it is much grander than I am capable of putting across in written words. The next part, and the majority of this session, was a living review of my successes and failures in life. This was highly unpleasant as I saw these from the vantage point of friends, family, and nearby witnesses. I was once told the price of power is pain, so the only two relevant questions are 1, how much do you want? And 2, how much can you take? The experience with this letter revalidates that perspective. Afterwards, the guardian mentions that the main thing is to expose yourself to your goal and repeatedly succeed. This process reinforces the will over the long term. Invoke the energy of the letter for 3 to 5 minutes at a time to push through sticking points. He reminds me to meditate on the nature between courage, endurance, and material success. I come back to my body and am exhausted. I go for a walk. Practice advice on the letter K. The letter K is the nearest energy to non-dual light represented by the letter. In theory, this makes sense as the letters represent the building blocks of existence, while non-dual light is the light of consciousness. In this aspect, the letter K represents the qualitative aspect of non-dual light. As a practical matter, the letter K is not continuously held. It is best vigorously vibrated and then allowed to drill off. Much like the birth of a star, it has a soft explosion in the beginning and then shines. In doing this, it activates the brainstem and generates courage as well as light characteristics. The glare that a high-end special operations personnel display of complete commitment is indicative of this. On a mental level, it generates a practitioner's higher purpose and courage. On the astral level, survival instincts are reinforced, and on the physical, it reinforces physical needs such as riches and willpower. Very strong concentration on this generates a kind of vacuum that then generates light. It also tends to generate a lot of mental dust, and it can take a few years of practice to differentiate between what is relevant and what is fantasy generated by a practitioner's ego. Caveat emptor. Let us begin. Welcome to 60 Skills. We will now have a reading on the letter R. First, from Franz Barden's Key to the True Kabbalah. In the Akasha principle, this vibration is attributed to independence and freedom. Mental, the feeling of freedom of will and freedom of action, and a feeling of absolute security that cannot be explained in words. Astral, awakening a geniality that will manifest itself in a number of ways. Anything which a spirit is trained in this way may undertake in an astral body endowed with the same abilities as equipped with a high degree of geniality of which a non-initiate can't have the faintest idea. Finally, in the physical world, this will cause a broadening of the Kabbalist intellect and will enable him to comprehend any knowledge quickly and without difficulty. You may have difficulty taking orders from other people, however. From Initial Experiences with the Kabbalah by Worden Phobos and Bob Smith. The letter R. Letter R, gold, midtone, air, heaviness, and fire. Akasha, freedom and independence. Mental, absolute serenity, free will and action. Astral, geniality and ingenuity. Physical and material comprehension. First session, 68 Akasha, 70 mental, 433 astral recitations. On the Akashic level, I witnessed some kind of solar fire exercise. The exercise repeated itself at the mental level. I am unsure what this means, and as usual, I am frustrated by my inability to interpret this. I land in a place with the biggest spire I've ever seen in an earth realm. Huge metal beams hold onto the gold sphere, projecting the energy of this place. The guardian is speaking about the bringing of things into existence and reality via form and ability. Somehow this corresponds to sigils and precepts. Additionally, the astral radiance of the place can make others both like and accept you. This is apparently self-reinforcing over time as well. A final end-time vision is presented, and I know something about the place is different than the others and I am missing it. The sensation of power is overwhelming, but I cannot define it. Finally, I walk away along a stone pathway to the landing with the projector and sphere. I had trouble with this meditation. I had to go back to the book a few times. The energy afterwards made the chickens go crazy. The rooster is just sitting there staring at me. Very odd for a rooster. Second session. I normally do not mention follow-on sessions, but I failed to grasp something fundamental in the first session. The session took place much later at an abandoned temple with my teacher. My teacher X concludes his guidance on the meditation and specifically mentions that the sound is not R so much as air. This was a key mistake in my first effort and essentially acted like a misplaced call. So I go into meditation and come hurtling into the astral. Then I hear it. It is a horn. It is the horn sounded in the beginning of creation. Dear God, it is Gabriel's horn. My mind shatters. Humans are not meant to see or understand this. Something happens. I think I try to scream. I see angels flying along the walls and landing at the top of a precipice. Too much. This is too much. The power and the glory, it burns. The light of these creatures blinds my mind. I come crashing, hurtling out of the astral, and I am thrown back into my body. Steam is pouring off my body as I open my eyes. Practical advice on the letter R. The letter R is a gateway to the angelic realm. I understand that the power of these creatures and their role as emissaries of the divine providence are part of the construction of the phenomenal universe for them to exist in the first place. What the hell this means and what I am to do with this is quite beyond my comprehension. From an elemental perspective, the energy felt more oriented to fire than earth. It seems to contain a combination of both in an odd manner. Even now, the thought of that sound, of the horn, makes me want to break down crying. The power, the glory, and the beauty are too much. Proceed in your exploration of this energy with great care. Suspect abuse of this, without question, is fatal. And what awaits you after your death for that ill-advised action is probably much worse. Practical advice on the letter R, not from the author. As indicated earlier, the letter R was quite difficult for me to access or take much away from. The following advice in the letter comes from my teacher as he found it of vital importance. This is the only letter for which I'm including advice on the letter that I have not personally been able to verify. The letter R expresses itself through the sound of angels' horns welcoming you home. The gold color is the color of influencers in the phenomenal worlds. Regular practice of this letter sets the stage for accessing both your life's purpose and a comfortable life in general. Development of the mental level prevents others from controlling you, but this comes with the cost of making it difficult to take orders. The astral level enhances your problem-solving ability. Finally, the physical level imbues a practitioner with the sense of their life's purpose and causes skills to arise that support this. The letter enhances insight into your life's purpose as well. Combining the letter R and non-dual light generates the physical manifestation of non-dual light and prevents overheating associated with generating non-dual light by itself in the physical. Working with the letter generally does not cause earth accumulations in a negative sense. It tends to build drive in support of your life's purpose. Most letters have both negative and positive aspects, but this is not the case with letter R. It is best practiced in the morning and will leave you with the sensation of jumping for joy. As such, it is the most fascinating of letters and is commonly manifested in spiritual people who have something to offer. It explicitly results in getting things done with regards to your life's purpose. The only warning needed is that it is easy to lose yourself to your ego when fully engaging with the letter. Finally, the combination of Akasha and the letter R tends to generate a sense of high-level divinity in a practitioner, as well as a sense of responsibility regarding your life's purpose. The combination of purple and gold in a practitioner's aura is typical of high-level religious practitioners as well. This concludes the reading. Let us begin. Welcome to 60 Skills. We will now have a reading on the letter S from Franz Barden's Key to the True Kabbalah. In the Akasha principle, the letter S represents the all-permeating power and all-encompassing power. It is the quantitative form of true fire element, as opposed to the qualitative form embodied by the letter K. It is the primordial divine fire. In all cases where the realization of primordial divine fire, the all-encompassing power is the point in question, the letter S vibration is to be used rather than the letter K. Mental. This construes complete mastery over the electrical fluid. Astral. Will generate absolute clairvoyance in its purest form in all spheres and planes of creation. Additionally, you will be given the gift of prophecy. Finally, matter. This results in mastery of the Kabbalist's own consciousness in itself, as well as the consciousness of all beings and entities in all spheres and planes of our mechanism. The letter S from Initial Experiences with the Kabbalah by Rorden Phobos and Bob Smith. The letter S, purple-red, more purple than red, with red flames, and the color tends to lighten with increased intensity. Low tone, hissing sound, warmth. Akasha, all-penetrating, encompassing power. Mental, electrical fluid. Astral, clairvoyance and prophecy. Physical and material, consciousness. First section, 6 Akashic, 62 mental, and 423 astral recitations. I enter a mountaintop scene at either sunrise or sunset. The place is warm and comfortable. It makes me warm on the inside. I meet the guardian and we talk about my fire eye exercises. He shows me many scenes of prophetic types at work. My teacher, monks, shamans, stockbrokers. I note the differences in their surroundings. We speak about the need to perform emotional control work when working in this environment. Objectivity, impartiality, and not caring about the outcome are the key to this line of work. The light and the dark are the easiest to see, yet rarely reflect the most likely outcome. Diet affects this as well. Vegetarianism tends to polarize. Darkness appears as lacking in something that represents suffering or illness in the practitioner. Stock picking interestingly generates energy. Go into the astral, pronounce the name of the stock, and watch. Be aware that the astral is timeless, so the resulting scene could take place soon or in the distant future. Being greedy or desperate will definitely throw this off. Practical advice in the letter S. The letter S represents the quantitative aspect of the letter SCH as primordial fire, while the letter K represents the qualitative aspect of the letter SCH as primordial light. The letter S works the pineal gland heavily and projects itself through the eyes. As such, a practitioner must be careful not to overload the eyes when working with this letter, even though it is the most effective method for developing clairvoyance at the astral level. Regular use of this letter results in a practitioner being dominated by their higher spiritual nature and allows them to train physical activity using the higher mind. This enhances the power of the ritual and enables a practitioner to, quote-unquote, pull the plug on something and allow the water to drain down, unquote. The combination of letters S and E results in a more directed development of the ability of prophecy versus generalized prophetic ability created by working with the letter S alone. This concludes the reading. Let us begin. Welcome to 60 Skills. We will now have a reading on the letter T. First, from Key to the True Kabbalah by Franz Barton. In the Akasha principle, this vibration awakens a high inspiration, divine inspiration and intuition as well. At a mental level, it creates and awakens remarkable inventive abilities and has a favorable influence on your memory, especially mechanical memory. Astral. This letter vibration enables the astral body to carry out true astral magic in its complete scope. Matter. This allows a Kabbalist practical use of all laws of analogy in the three kingdoms, mineral, vegetable, and animal. As such, this is also represented and associated with Kabbalistic alchemy. Now from Initial Experiences with the Kabbalah by Rorden Phobos and Bob Smith. The letter T. Dark brown, high-pitched tone, strong explosive power, the sound of a pilot light clicking. Akasha, master of divine inspiration and intuition. Mental, master of invention. Astral, master of astral magic. Physical material, master of analogy. First session. 10 Akashic, 62 mental, and 403 astral recitations. As I bridge from the mental into the astral, I see a man brushing the hair back from the rear of his head with his left hand. A very large, ugly, red, and lumpy scar is revealed. Then the vision is gone. I initially show up at my house. I push back from this and re-engage the energy on the astral. Combining the study of these energies as they act as gateways as much as anything else, with places that house your loved ones seems like a bad idea. Granted, this is a matter of personal preference as much as anything else. Now I am on a crest of a hill, sitting in a classical pavilion. A tree line flows down into a dense pine forest with a spire and beacon contained within. I spend most of this meditation flipping back and forth between the pavilion and the beacon to fill up on this energy. I am instructed to take the energy of the letter T before the elements to increase power and control. This is very important before engaging in ritual work as it impacts the quality of the ritual. I am told to look at this as more will-enhancing than intellect, but that they are related. It is about the will to invent, memorize, etc. We talked for a while about planetary work, but magic apparently all goes back to XXXXX, and I've already done that work. Other work needs to be done, however, especially the emotional stability work. At some point, I may revisit XXXXX for good measure. I am told to be especially wary of personal interactions when going through the planets. Always practice my protective rituals on the astral. In that regard, magic requires successive build-up on the astral, so a consistent physical location is important. I finish the meditation and return to my body. Practice advice in the letter T. The letter T is a bit of an anomaly in that it is almost always used in conjunction with another letter in practical terms. Used individually, it enhances ingenuity if centered on the whole head and generates a stream of ideas. It also improves a practitioner's problem-solving ability and generally makes them more inventive. It manifests as a kind of deep fire within a practitioner. In this aspect, it stirs the mud of a practitioner's subconscious, and when this is encountered, the practitioner needs to drive deeper with the letter to overcome this. The combination of the letters E and T can be used to add or remove memories in both the practitioner or other people. Essentially, while generating this letter, the practitioner pictures a memory as a movie in their head. As this fades, then it shifts to a picture, and that fades as it eventually disappears. This will not repair issues with post-traumatic stress disorder, as the phenomenon has more to do with spikes of energy in the astral matrix of the person suffering from this disease than the pure memory of the event causing the problem. If the combined E and T technique is used, They will still have PTSD, but they will simply not be able to remember why they have it. This concludes the reading. Welcome to 60 Skills. We will now invoke the letter S. As per standard in this series, you will generate the energy above the head at the Akashic level, bring it into the mental, bring it into the astral, bring it into the vital, then go back up and stream it back down through you, creating a circle around you and then filling the space around you. Let us begin. The letter S. The letter S is a purple red or brick red color. It has a warm or hot sensation. It is a very low tone, and internally it makes a S type sound. Akashically, it represents the all-penetrating encompassing power, mentally the electrical fluid, astrally the clairvoyance and prophecy, physically and materially consciousness. It is the quantitative aspect of fire element, and K, on the other hand, is the qualitative aspect. So let us begin. Open up. Create a brick red or purple red ball of energy above the head that is warm or hot, making a S sound. Start your timer. Begin. Purple brick red ball of hot energy, making a S sound. Okay, bring the energy down into the mental. Purple, red, brick red S sound, hot and expansive. And bring the energy down into the astral and either your heart center or solar plexus. Remember to astral breathe in and out. Assume a light electric body posture. Push from the fingertips, opening the joint, pull from the top of the head, feet torqued out. And astral breathe in and out a purple red, brick red color, whispering a sound softly enough so that if someone were standing more than 3 feet or 1 meter away from you, they would not be able to hear you. Begin. Right, bring the energy down into your lower abdomen. You're going to vibrate this sound through the ligaments, tendons, and fascia in the body. It is a hard electric body position. Push from the fingertips, pull from the top of the head, torque the feet out. Red, purple, brick red color. Zzz, sound generating warmth and heat. Zzz, 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 zzz. Okay, bring your attention back above your head. Purple, red, brick red color ball of energy, hot and expansive, stream it down through you, creating a circle on the floor around you and then filling the space around you. All right, come back to yourself. Remember to ventilate fully, as this is a fire letter and that can be problematic, and take notes regarding your practice session. This concludes the meditation.